What can be made of President Jacob Zuma's cabinet reshuffle? And why is Black First, Land First defending Zuma's decisions? Why does the BLF not collapse into the ANC once and for all? And why has the reshuffle caused so much frictions within the ANC? What time is it? It's question time. Khotsong and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Tsedu. The recent reshuffle of cabinet by President Jacob Zuma continues to dominate headlines. On Friday morning, the nation woke up to the news of the drastic changes made, which included the sacking of now former Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan and his deputy SABC Jonas. Today in Johannesburg, several opposition parties, including the DA, EFF and COPE, amongst others, met to discuss about a parliamentary debate for a motion of no confidence against President Zuma. The ANC's top six are currently locked in a meeting at the Lutuli House headquarters and are scheduled to meet with the National Working Committee soon thereafter. Meanwhile, several organizations, including Save SA, Section 27 and Corruption Watch, organized a mass gathering in Pretoria today. They say South Africans must stand up and reclaim the Constitution. We are live. Therefore, you can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial 0891104210. Our Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. My guests, Andile Tama, he's the leader of the BLF. He's a convener there. Thapelo Tselapedi is an analyst from the Department of Politics and International Relations at the University of Johannesburg. Gentlemen, welcome. Andile, I'm going to start with you. The questions that I asked are some of the questions that we're receiving on our Twitter handle. Why doesn't this BLF just collapse once and for all and become part of the ANC? Why are they defending Zuma's decisions? Why this, why that?
Yeah, firstly, let me say for that we are, as BLF, we're very happy. We are very excited, in fact, by the cabinet reshuffle, in particular the removal of former Minister Pravin Gordhan from that position. The new minister, Gigaba, will have to be tested, and we hope that he would not be seduced by white capital and he'll do the right thing. Now, we'll never be part of the ANC because we are black consciousness and Pan-Africanists, and we are black first. The ANC is non-racialist, and for 23 years the ANC has been totally incapable of resolving the problems of our people. We're supporting President Zuma because of what he says. He has certainly shifted from the kind of liberal position to a more left position. On the land question, certainly no president before him has said land expropriation without compensation. That is a position of black consciousness. That is a position of Pan-Africanism. That is a position above politics. Every single black person in this country should support that call, because we all need land to be citizens of this country. And right now, me and you and your panelists, my fellow panelists, are landless people. We are not citizens of this country. We just have the vote and we have an ID. It is a serious insult in the notion of liberation. President Zuma is moving and saying, in fact, he has come out and said, let's unite all black political parties on the land question. Who would oppose that move?
Okay, so you are happy with the reshuffle when everybody is saying no?
But who was everybody? Everybody representing white monopoly capital. These organizations, for instance, who are calling for a Black Monday, we are black all the time.
Well, there are a lot of black people who are saying no.
Well, of course, just like under apartheid, of course, there were a lot of black people who were in the homelands, who were supporting the apartheid project. The truth of the matter is South Africa is divided into two. Let us be honest with ourselves. South Africa is divided into two. The one South Africa says, after 23 years, we must stop talking, we must get action. When the president of the country also says, let's get the land back, let's have radical economic transformation. For us as BLF, we think that is the progressive side of the division. Others, they want to oppose the president because they don't want change.
Okay. Well, what informs reshuffles?
I mean, I think ideally you'd want to strengthen government and the delivery of the programs that it articulated for itself. certainly with the instances that we've had in the country, you'd want to, that if a particular minister has not been responsible for her line ministry, or there has been some dereliction of duty and responsibility on her, on his part, surely then the president must be able to intervene in that process and say that you've not worked in accordance with this and that. So I think that should ideally be positions that the president would take when they change cabinet and so forth and so on.
And in this case, what was so different? Why is there so much, I don't want to say hullabaloo, but why is there so much reaction? I mean, people have been chopped and dropped before.
Sure. No, certainly. But I think what's interesting about this reshuffle is from the standpoint of the ANC. The ANC has basically said that its moral compass says that you can only move forward if you move together. Whether one person or two people can see that this development path is the best way to go, it does not matter. What matters is that everybody, whether in the NEC or PEC, can move together and they see this logical step happening. I think what has happened in this instance, looking at the different articulations of the top six, whether you're looking at Zweli or the SG in the form of Kweremantashe, basically saying that we were not privy, or rather we were not part of the discussions that facilitated this reshuffle. Effectively, that there was a list that came externally into the ANC and there was no proper discussion inside the top six. But so that's been interesting. Definitely.
In that case, are we not going to move to a scenario where we'll actually get to know who out of the cabinet was proposed by which member of the top six? If they're saying, okay, well, we were not part of this one. Yeah. So which ones were you part of and who did you propose in the past? Then I may be tempted to ask, shouldn't the president just exercise his prerogative and powers as in
the Constitution?
Yes.
Look, I think it's important to understand that the governance has to also be facilitated by people who occupy offices. Okay, so and I think on the part of the ANC, for them it's about how do they then inform the outlook of governance. The president, certainly according to his constitutional obligation, he can have the responsibility solely to determine the composition of his cabinet. But however, given the ethos of the ANC as it's articulated historically, the ANC has been saying that it is the center in terms of government programs, in terms of articulating the national democratic revolution and so forth. And in this instance, quite clearly, the exercise of the president in terms of his constitutional responsibility rubs against this ethos of the party, I think.
Malis, you are in Polokwane. Welcome.
Yes. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Welcome, Malis.
Yes, my question is straightforward. I'm saying now, for those people who are saying they are not consulted, whose views must be taken? Is it the president's one or the other people that need to be consulted? Because we hear different views where they say, some of them will say, the president consulted with everyone, actually put everyone into confidence. And yet we have other people that their views were not taken by the president. Does it mean there was no consultation, or does it mean that my views were not taken?
Oh, Malus, a very good question there. Unfortunately, we don't have the ANC today to answer that, but I can just ask for opinions.
Yeah, but my position is precise. I'm not an ANC member. We don't actually care much about what's happening inside the ANC. We care whether the state president, because when Zuma reshuffles cabinet, he does that as a state president, right? And he has his powers to do so. In fact, he should not be consulting anyone. In fact, by the way, if it was to be found that President Zuma has been influenced in his appointment of ministers by anyone, is an illegal activity. It will be breaking the law. The Constitution is very clear. The only person who has the powers to appoint ministers is the president. If anyone else influence the president, actually that's a criminal activity. So we must be careful when we insist that somebody must have been consulted. It seems to me that the president, in terms of his role as the leader of the ANC tripartite alliance, he has gone through great trouble to talk to all these fellows, but they don't agree. So what must the president do? The president needs a cabinet that is there with his vision. What is the vision of the president? Radical transformation. Is Pravin Gordhan for radical transformation? No. So he's out. And that we celebrate.
Katu, you are in Midrand.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
I want to ask that to your guest. One of the questions they already answered. I wanted to know if they are ANC members. I heard one of your guests said I'm not an ANC member. Because I'm very much worried about Mr. President, because it seems like he is very much stubborn. I mean, even the deputy president himself, he told him that he is not happy with this reshuffle, but he go on to reshuffle. That is why you have seen our deputy president come out publicly saying, "I'm not happy about reshuffling," especially on our minister there for finance. This is affecting us as an ordinary South African. We are very, very sad. People are not happy outside, to tell you the truth.
Okay, Katu.
There, they can be saying, I can feel they are very much defending there, but we are not happy as ordinary citizens.
Katu, Arfan. Yeah, Arfan. How are you affected by this decision to fire Pravin?
You will remember our Minister Pravin, he was outside the country, busy making our economy, strengthening our economy. Out of the blue, he called him, come back. I mean, why can't he even just let him finish what he's doing, strengthen our economy, then he can come back? This simply means we're going to lose jobs. This simply means that our economy going to be weakened. This simply means some of ordinary citizens, they are going to be fired from their work because, I mean,
you don't think Malusi can? So you don't think Malusi can go to those trips?
Malusi, to be honest with you, does Malusi have an experience in finance? What qualification is he holding in finance? I mean, I understand he's a political person, but let us also consider the fact of having the qualifications also. How does he understand that job?
Okay, Katu, thank you. Thank you, Katu. Thank you very much for that. Well, I guess the debate is going to continue here. But would you say we are at Chinua Achebe's point in terms of the ANC's top six? The center is not holding?
Yeah. Look, I think it's what makes it a precedent, the situation, is the fact that you see then different top six members articulating different stances on this issue. And then you see the intervention of the Integrity Commission saying, actually, but this is an unprecedented, given the history of the ANC. So definitely it's going to be a crisis, because I think this effectively splits the ANC from looking at branches, provinces, regions, and so forth. You're going to have members who are comrades with each other, saying that no, but you're being anti-revolutionary given this and that. And state president takes a decision saying that he's consulted. Then the SG, as the spokesperson of the party on the other side, basically says that actually we were not consulted. So I think it definitely splits the party across the basis. So that's going to be interesting how then the top six and the NEC resolves that impasse.
Sam, you're in MLO.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes, and how are you?
I'm well. Thanks for the call, Sam.
No, thank you very much. I don't know what makes the South African being confused about this matter. It has been seen and very clear that President Zuma knows exactly when he is doing this cabinet reshuffle, and there will be this noise. And those who support President Zuma, they know about this plot. This is a plot to expel the deputy president for not being a president. In actual fact, President Zuma wanted the ANC to recall him in order that the deputy president can be the president for this time being, and his wife and being a deputy president to the deputy president at present.
Okay, so Sam, I'm losing you. There's so many deputies there in your speech. I'm battling to understand exactly what you were saying, but I suppose at the end of the day, I mean, this are ANC politics. Chances are there's a motion of no confidence which is going to be debated in Parliament. What do you see, or what would you urge the majority members of Parliament to do?
At this point, our view is that we must focus our attention on what is fundamental. What is fundamental is the unity of black people to reclaim our land. And President Zuma has become the new spokesperson of that agenda. So Parliament, those at least who are black people and who want radical transformation, must reject the motion, but not just reject the motion, go further and say to President Zuma, we don't want rhetoric, we want action. Can we change the constitution as we say it should happen? Can you, President Zuma, impose your leadership on the ANC? Because the caucus, ANC caucus is anti-Zuma. It actually, some of it might vote with the opposition because, as we say, there is a split in the ANC. Inside the ANC, there are those who don't want radical transformation. Actually, they are opposition. They are in the opposition benches. The question is whether some claim that they might be bought. Will they vote with opposition? Okay. And our view is hopefully that if they do, they must be chucked out and new people should come in so that the 2 years of President Zuma in power, he must do what he says he needs to do so that his legacy is based on his vision.
Do you foresee a situation where ANC deployees in parliament vote against an ANC position?
Look, it's going to be interesting. I mean, you have to understand, I mean, there's been debates that since President Zuma took the constitutional responsibility of then compiling his own cabinet, effectively, then members of parliament constitutionally also have a right to vote according to their conscience, not necessarily according to the party and the recommendations. So that's going to be interesting whether they're going to do so. I doubt.
Okay. Let's go to Springs. Baba.
Mnumzana yazi mina ngibona sengathi yonke lento lena nixoxa ngayo apha iyabonakala apha ngakhona uba vele uqinisile mawuthi bafunisisa uvice president lo we-BLF intoni Black Losers Forum or intoni ayikho nje into abayithetha bona jathi nje bafuna izikhundla pha ku-ANC.
But they are not members the ANC njena but Kenneth. All right, but Kenneth, Black Losers Forum, that's a new one.
We're all losers in South Africa as black people. What do we have? Himself, me, you, all of us here don't have the country. The president of the country is putting a proposal forward. We believe, as black people, we have to understand where we are. After 23 years, we're not a sovereign people. We have a vote, but we don't have the country. Now, our view is that all politicians are corrupt. In fact, it makes no difference which one you're going to vote for. But when special circumstances arise, such as the one we find ourselves in, where president of the country is saying, let us move fast towards a radical change, it is our duty to support that move and make sure that it is implemented. That is why we want to warn our people. The South Africa is divided in two. There are those who want the white system to stay, those who go with Pravin, people like Vavi, people like Mthembu and Derek Hanekom. They are leaders of the anti-revolutionary project. They are the people who are calling for shutting down on Friday. The same people who called for...
What's your view there, actually?
No shutdown. I mean, today we say it was white Monday. It was not a black Monday. It was a white Monday called by white people to defend white interests. Similarly, all the London-controlled political parties are calling for shutdown on Friday. All of them were in London, you know, and your call, of course, about London. London is the problem of South Africa. The DA, Musi Maimane, was in London. Julius Malema went to London, come back, he gave black people's vote to the DA. Pravin Gordhan was in London, sending the country. So we must look east. Let us deal with Russia, China, India. Let us strengthen the BRICS. Let us control our economy. President Zuma is giving direction there.
Let's go to Sandile. Sandile, welcome.
Yebo njani?
Ngiyaphila njani baba?
Ngiyaphila. Ngisacela ukubuza kulo baba uAndile lo uAndile, ne?
Yes.
Umbuzo wami baba ukuthi ufandwa ubani na baba kahle kahle ngoba mina ngokubona kwami ngazi ukuthi yena still uANC. Who's funding him kahle kahle? Ufuna ukubuza lo nje kuyena baba.
All right, thanks very much Sandile. Well, the question, yeah, indeed, who's funding BLF?
We're very broke. We beg from many black people who give us a little bit of money. I can certainly tell them that the ANC does not fund us. Maybe I can even go further because everybody talks about the Guptas. The Guptas don't fund us. We are funded by ourselves, but we are funded also by a few black people who put a little bit of money in account from month to month. And
do you know the Guptas?
Actually, that's a very good question. You know, I've not met the Guptas until last week when I was moving out of their TV station. I met one of their brothers outside, and for the first time I greeted him and introduced myself, and we have a few things to say to each other. But we've never had a meeting. I've never had met these guys. I actually don't know these guys.
And we should believe you.
Well, I mean, it's your call. By the way, of course, I mean, the Guptas are not my enemies. This is I suppose the big question. My enemies as black people is those who stole our land, is white monopoly capital. Of course, if the Guptas have done something wrong, let us take them to court, let us find them guilty, let them be held accountable. We have called the president of the country to bring about a judicial commission on banking And we have included in our letters to President Zuma, also investigate the Guptas, because we want to end this speculation.
Do you see the shutdown succeeding? But perhaps before you even respond to that, let's go to Asanda. Asanda, you are in Midrand. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. Thanks for the call, Asanda.
I'm well, thank you. My comment is all about saying to the South Africans, they must just wake up. I mean, if you are recalled, like if you are no longer employed to a certain position, you should accept it as a leader. And for Cyril Ramaphosa to actually stand and talk like that as a leader, I don't think you'll be a good next president for our country. We need black people to stand up and wake up and see what is happening in our country. Otherwise, we are going back to the apartheid time.
Okay, Asanda, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, a comment there. Well, I was saying, do you think the shutdown will happen?
Look, I think it might be very difficult given the overwhelming discourse around, well, we understand corruption is wrong, but we also want the land issue. So the discourse has effectively engulfed us in our approach to politics. So, you know, as Andile said, that part of the issues around shutdown has been called for by white people, white organizations and so forth. And there's been quite
and they've not given us our land back.
There's been quite a number of people who've actually said, well, we're not going to support the shutdown given the fact that the organizers have been white. But if I may say, I wanted to point on this matter. I think part of the anxiety around many people is the connection between, and this is not touched on in some of these debates, is the connection between the need for discipline and ethical responsibility touched or connected with the issue of a revolutionary project against white monopoly capital. I think many of the anxieties around whether given the pronouncement by the courts or the judiciary and so forth, by the different sections of the alliance inside the ANC and so on, given those pronouncements against the president on his ethical positions in a range of matters, what is his credibility then in driving this white monopoly capital agenda against those monopolists? So I think it would be interesting, but we need to point out that anxiety, and this is what's making a lot of people uneasy.
The people who are anxious are precisely those who stole our land. I mean, you can't talk about ethical position which does not address the larger ethical question of land dispossession. How can you talk about ethical equivalence between the dispossessed and the dispossessor? Those who lost land and those who stole the land. We cannot begin a conversation without addressing this great ethical question, which is South Africa basically is a fraud because it's based on violence, on exclusion, and on oppression. White people have no moral right, in fact, to say anything in this country because we are poor today, because we are landless, we are homeless. Because of them, they live in great comfort as a consequence of oppressing us. They have not said sorry. They have not returned land. They have not shared the wealth they stole from us, from the labor that they took from us by force, and they can talk about ethics. No, South Africa itself is unethical. Until we address the land question, then we can entertain the side issues of how corrupt maybe somebody is. But the real corruption here is the corruption of exclusion of the black majority. That is why we say Zuma provides us today with a possibility as black people to unite and address one key question, and after that you can go back to your political party and shout slogans. But without land, even the big English we speak here amongst ourselves means nothing, because actually, tell the truth, we are nothing. That is why even Helen Zille can come up and say to me and you, colonialism was so bad, and then he's going to march with Julius Malema on Friday. A colonialist, racist, anti-black leader who's going to march with somebody who claims that they stand for revolution. That is the madness we must move away from. Julius Malema, Jacob Zuma, Andile Mngxetama, let us work together, return this land, then we can go back to our fights.
I think it's important that Adile does not misunderstand me. What I'm talking about, let me use an example. You need a sort of ethical leader in the form of Thomas Sankara who's going to be able to stick to a particular program.
Hey, once you say Sankara, you must know the EFF say they are a Sankara movement.
Definitely. But I think it's important that I do recognize the larger ethical project that Andile is talking about. But here I'm just talking about the alignment of an ethical position with the drive and management of a particular program or revolutionary project.
Okay. All right. Now, breaking news. We have just received the news that South Africa has now been downgraded to junk status.
Great.
We don't know whether this has got anything to do with our developments. And
Great. This is absolutely important. Let us downgrade us. Let us chase the grading agencies out. Let us control our economy. Let us nationalize the Reserve Bank, take the land bank, and then we will know that we're free. Let them go. Let them downgrade.
Okay. Well, yeah, that was question time for today. A big thank you to my guest and to you for watching the show. From me and the entire crew. Zuma, let's hand.